Shalom and welcome to our special Omer edition of Teaching Torah, I guess, right? The title of the class, this is going to be kind of a loose class. We're learning the Zohar and merit of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. It's Omer right now, Hod Shebahod. So the title of the class is My Thoughts Are Not Your Thoughts. And this is predicated on Parshas Noach of the Zohar, 65a. The first question you're probably going to ask is, why are we focusing on Parshas Noach in the Zohar 65a? The answer is like this. On Shabbos, I like to learn the Ben Ish Chai Das Tfuna. It's a tremendous Kabbalah sefer, really bringing down the Masorah of Kabbalah from the Arizal. The Ben Ish Chai is one of the main Yesodot in that Inyan. And if you have ever learned that sefer, if you've ever heard of it or whatever it is, in the first three Hakdamot, really not Prakim of the regular order, it's there's three types of Hakdamas over there. And more than the Ben Ish Chai teaching you, in those Hakdamas, he relies on the Zohar to teach you, and then he draws the context. He does a lot of this. He sets the tone with the Zohar documented and sourced, and you're expected to go get the Zohar off the shelf, which unfortunately many people today are not doing, right? Getting the Zohar off the shelf. So you're supposed to get up, get it off the shelf, look it up, and see for yourself, because he's not going to explain it to you. And really, the entire sefer is in those Zohars. So you're doing a major injustice if you're not going to go and look them up. And I guess my forte is I really like to look stuff up. So every Shabbos I was going through looking everything up, and my intention is to do one parak every Shabbos, or more, because the later prakim are much shorter than the first three Hakdamas. So with that said, I knew that in the next batch of learning, which would have taken place this Shabbos, you're destined to run into a Zohar with the Ben Ish Chai. With that said, it's Omer, Hod Shebahod, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, we're in Sfas Yira Kodesh, Meron's on fire, hundreds of thousands of people are dancing and eating cholent, and we are duty-bound to learn the Zohar tonight. Opened up the Ben Ish Chai, and it brought us, the first source we came to was Parshas Noach 65a. So it was totally mazel, relying on mazel. There's no Kavanah here as to why I chose this Zohar. I decided to let fate run its course. And with that said, where I was holding in the Ben Ish Chai by the time I opened it up today, we just finished Shviras HaKelim. So Nekudim just came out of Akudim, Shviras HaKelim, the Seven Kings, and into today's learning in the Ben Ish Chai was Hadar, the 8th king who married Mehetavel. You know this stuff, right? 8th king that didn't die, rectification of Atzilus, major Kabbalistic Inyan. And by the time he was going to quote the Zohar, he was talking about Keter, for whatever reason, in the Hamshacha of the Ben Ish Chai. He was talking about how the Parsufim of Atzilus correspond to different levels in Adam Kadmon. Right, so I think he said Arach Anpin was kashur to, I think, the Mochin of Ak. Right, and everything had its location. Logically, you could deduct it. And again, by the time that the passage that we're Nogeya to ended on the note of Keter. What is Keter? And he said, go look in the Zohar and I'll tell you all about Keter. So I did. Looked in the Zohar. Just some thoughts as a Hakdama here, and then we're going to go into the text and oscillate between text and notes. Okay, just kind of random points. And for what the Zohar is talking about. The Zohar is going to introduce, we're going to find out. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai wants to leapfrog the order of creation. A normal human being is going to pray and daven 3 times a day, You're going to stand in tefillah, right? You're going to request that your lips be open, all these things. You're going to start to daven. Kabbalistically, your peh, your malchus, brings out dibur. That's davening. You're going to stand erect, and if you're going to elevate your kol, your voice. That dynamic is essentially you have elevated to malchus of Atzilus. You are no longer you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to daven. You've stepped out of basically your ego. You're talking to the divine. These things are actually happening when you're davening. You might not be aware of it, but if you become aware of it, your mazel is in high gear when you're davening, and you are basically making audible zeranpin. And you're interfacing with divine consciousness where you and God are a unique oneness. You're not asking for a shopping list of things you want. That would be antithetical to this level of davening. You should be receiving shefa into your mochen, which is mochen the godless, that you have received the answer of shefa from God. Right? You are aware of God corresponding with you in the midst of your tefillah. Kabbalistically, that's Erech Anpin being mislavish in Zohar. Right? So in Zohar, Yochai Vavke proper is Mizgale. The Or Ein Sof goes down as far as Zer Anpin in terms of revelation of God. You are the revelation of God. You are in the beard of Erech Anpin. As you daven, you are the revelation of God. Remember, you're no longer you. You're in the unique oneness of God. Where two are really one. I am Hashem your God, no other gods. So as you're davening, you're receiving at the same time. Right? You are connecting to Yud Kei Vav Kei. At a level where Yud Kei Vav Kei is mislavish deep enough into the partsufim of Atzilus that you can actually have a God moment and yet you can exist at the same time. The reason why the Or Ein Sof can stretch into Atzilus is because of the partsufim, Ben Ish Chai is going to say. Right? In Tohu, in Nekudim, what happens when we try to stretch a keli? Psh, bursts the keli. But because of partsufim, right? I never really saw it this way, but till tonight I saw it and I like this. What is a partsuf? What is a partsuf? What's a partsuf? Face. In Kabbalah, what's a partsuf? Exactly. Well, we know it's kind of like, Chachma becomes Abba. You say it's a stronger keli, right? You can hold the or this time. Some will say it's a complete set of 10, right? Abba has 10, Ima has 10, Zerampin and Godless has 10, right? The Vokatavos become 10. But this definition is much better. Because let me ask you, when you look at Partsufim, like an image, right? They'll draw, right? A mode of Partsufim. What does it look like? It's like a dip, doesn't it? You'll see like Erech Anpin comes down into the Yesod of the Yesod of Abba. Erech Anpin is Mislavish in the Yesod of Abba, which manifests in Yesod of Atzilus, right? And you'll see a dip. That's a partsuf. Partsufim are kalim that become enabled to dip. So it expands. Expanded consciousness so it doesn't burst. So in my Abba, my Chochma, right? If I put too much light in there, it'll burst in the Tohu of Nekudim. Which it didn't really. Abba was one of the ones that didn't break, but for argument's sake, a keli bursts. Right? But now, in my Partsufim world of Tikkun, right, if I need to extend the Yesod of Abba to Yesod of Atzilus, the reason why I use as Abba and Chochma as the Duma here, I can now stretch Abba down for the length of Atzilus, which I couldn't have done in Nekudim. So with that said, God enters the world, right? The whole question, is God in the Tzimtzum or not? So if you were to plumb this idea, you would have that answer. It's not the scope of this discussion, but that is the answer, how God interacts inside the Tzimtzum. And the answer is it's neither the Balatanya or the Gra's perspective here. It's a totally different Indian. Right? God is stretching in. Right? And at the same time, He is stretched to you, and it becomes one. Now, I'm not attempting to answer that up, therefore I'm keeping it vague on purpose. The point is you have risen up, and God has risen down. I said on purpose, risen down. As you're going to see, that's the whole point. Risen down is the steering, right? Is it not? You can't rise down, but God does. It's risen down, you're up, and you are the facilitator to allow Erech Anpin to transfer the Shefa into Zer Anpin. That's all you're doing. You think you're davening, you are being the Mazel Merkava for the Shefa to transfer Rishus into this world. Then you step out of your tefillah, you did it, and you're back in Asiyah. You just brought the Shefa from basically God Himself through Atzilus into this world, Derech Noga, that was hidden in this whole operation. Got that? So Rabbi Shimon wants to know, what if I don't want to be Zer Anpin today? Right? Everybody's Zer Anpin. When we step into tefillah, we are being Zer Anpin. Not literally, but you are being mislavish, right? God is using your keli to mislavish. Just like we say, Avraham is chesed of Atzilus, right? Same type of inyan. When you daven, you are basically lending your keli to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're really no longer you. Because you're never you anyways. It's a miracle that you have consciousness of yourself. So at that moment, you've lost your consciousness, you are back, you've returned to God, Ritzov V'Shuv. Rabbi Shimon says, I want to be in Keser. I don't want to be in Zer Anpin. That sounds like quite a fantastic thing to say, doesn't it? The answer is, which we get at the end of the shir, Karbanos are actually Keser. Which is why the Rizal says it's the highest element of the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, we know Kodesh Kadoshim, but you see there's a proper element of the Mizbeach that is, on one angle, the highest element of the Beis HaMikdash. You can say it about everything. But basically, the Karbanos are the aspect of Keser. And we're going to explain what that means. But since there's a dynamic of Keser, there's a dynamic of Keser with Karbanos, Rabbi Shimon says, if that's true, I want to know what that is. I want to investigate what's going on in Keser. Because there's already a drake in the world. It's not like I'm saying I want to know the essence of God. Nothing is the essence of God. You don't know the essence of God. But he says, wait a minute. In this world there is Keser. Which, by the way, we say the Beis HaMikdash is Keser. So, there's already a shaykhis to us and our avoda. It's not totally crazy. It's crazy to think you can get it, but it's not crazy to say that the Madrega of Keser is in this world. And we can pinpoint it. So Rabbi Shimon wants to investigate, what's the ratzon of Keser? It's a good question. And with that, let's go in the text, shall we? That's the Hakdama to Rabbi Shimon. May this be an Eloi, what do you call it? A schus Eloi neshama for Rabbi Shimon, Talmidim, Kabbalah in the world, right? Elevating the sparks of holiness, and that one big last juicy spark, may it go up in the merits, God willing, in our rendition of learning the Zohar in Sfas Ira Kodesh, looking over at Meron on Lag BaOmer. Maybe so. Okay. Remember, we're learning here on 65A. Is that right? Yeah. I'm not going to read everything. We'll see how it goes in terms of what I actually read. You'll get the point of what the messages are. And I might even throw in a shtickle yeshivish for you. I'm a Rabbi Shimon. I'm a Rabbi Shimon. Yimosi Yadei L'mayla B'tefillah. I want to know what the Mayla of Tefillah is. I'm paraphrasing. Ki ba l'gal l'seder atzilas gimel rishonim de erech anpin nikroyim kisra. Mocha de avira u'mocha stima eich oilim de reisha de lois yada. Sha'asod ein sof baruch hu. Got that? Since, or when, we're coming to reveal the Seder, the order of Atzilus. The 3 parts of Erech Anpin. Don't be confused with the Gimel Rishonim of Stam Keter Chochma Bina. Right? That's usually what you call the Gimel Rishonim, which, by the way, for the Gerim following out there, it's not an accident that Rosh Hashanah are Ger. Right? The 7 Midot, Zion Mitzvahs, the Mochin, Rosh Hashanah's Ger. It's always a good one. But here it's in the 3 aspects of Erech Anpin. And they're called Keser, Stam. It's also the brain or the mind of the air, mind in the air, and the encapsulated mind, right? Mochastima. And how is this possible? First off, right, Rabbi Shimon's going into this madrega of exploration. The question first is, what are you talking about? Because Keser on this level is called L'Reisha Delo Isyada, the unknowable head. And that unknowable head, which for all intents and purposes is Atik, for those following along, is the secret of the Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Right? We're already talking about it being Maslavish down. This is a level of Lavush, Maslavshis, that you don't need to know about it. You're not going to know about it. So the question is, why does Rabbi Shimon think he can know about it? Just close it. Whenever I go into discussion, I'm just going to close the book. To explain this point, also I'm going to look at my notes, so I'm saying. I'm going to talk and read at the same time. Yeah, we're right on target. I'm going to explain a couple points. The Vilna Gaon explains the Gimel Rishonim de Keser very nicely. Right? I'm going to totally paraphrase this. Right? There's 3 parts of Keser. Atik, the highest part. Erech, Keser proper as a sphera. So it's synonymous with Keser. Like Abba, Chochma, Erech, Keser. And there's a level of Keser that's Chochma. Chochma Stima. You're going to love this. You're going to really love this. I'm going to prove to you and show you what Keser is. Okay? You're sitting there. Let's pretend that you are a truck driver. Okay? You are a truck driver. Your name is Jim. And you're a truck driver. So I represent the Shefa Mochin coming to you. Okay? I'm not really here. You're just doing what you're being Jim. So I'm going to audibilize how you get consciousness to become a person. Tell him he's a truck driver. You're a truck driver. I am a truck driver. Caught that? Tell him he's a truck driver. Atik. You're a truck driver. Erech. I am a truck driver. Chochma Stima. You have the chachma of how to be a truck driver. You're telling yourself, I'm a truck driver. Hey, look at that truck over there. I like that truck. Why do I like that? I'm a truck driver. Hey, look at that windshield wiper fluid. How much that cost? $5.95. Why do I? Oh yeah, I'm a truck driver. Why are you so bent on being a truck driver? Because you're getting the message in a veiled way. Hey, you're a truck driver. So you're looking all the time. Hey, I'm a truck. Hey, what? You're looking for it. Looking for the windshield wiper fluid. Looking for the gas prices. Looking for the cabin. Looking for this. You're looking for it. Your consciousness is that. Because you're being told you are a truck driver. And the guy telling you that, is being told really quietly, tell him he's a truck driver. Everywhere you go, right? You're at the gas station, just pumping gas. Tell him he's a truck driver. Hey, you're a truck driver. Yeah, I'm a truck driver. And so it's chachma of chachma stima, right? You know the wisdom of it. You know how to look for the deals. You're good at it. It's you. And the other wisdom is the Erech Keser is telling you how to do it. Right? I'm Keser, really. I'm Keser. but I'm telling you how to be you. That's a chachma already. And then Atik says, I have the chachma to tell you how to be you, to tell you, right? But I'm not only that. Just because I'm Atik telling you how to tell him doesn't mean that I'm only chachma. The part of me that tells you who and what you are, that's like my lowest level. Like, I am so Neo in the Matrix, right? I'm doing like God stuff. I'm running the world. And in my spare time, as I'm so powerful. I mean, this is the powerful thing of Kesser, right? I'm running the world. I'm doing this with everybody. But Jim's my guy. And I'm like, yeah, tell him he's a truck driver, right? Meanwhile, I'm telling Sally and Jane and Bob and Dan and Bob and the whole world. So Kesser's running the world. And so powerful, everybody gets their orders ultimately from that level of Atik. Got it? So that's a very easy way of understanding the three levels of Kesser. Now, it's easy because you can understand it, and it's hard because you have no idea what that means. In terms of how does Kesser, a very Chitzoni level. Now, I want to bring in one more point of what the Ben Ish Chai was saying. This is fantastic. The vessels of Atzilus broke. The Kalim fell down to Bria, the 7 kings that died. And the light stayed in Atzilus. And it effectively became Ban. And the light that broke the vessels was Ma. And so now you have Ma repairing Ban. And this is the Indian of the Gevuras and the Chasadim, which also is a definition I never had. Ma was just a great light. There was a Tzimtzum Sheni, and out of Av and Sag of Akin, this great Yichud, and Ab and Ima were Miyachid, and all of a sudden, Shviras and Kalim. But the light was great. That was Ma. And now he's doing Brudim, which would eventually become Atzilus. Right, we know from Yaakov and the animals, right? Akudim, Nukudim, Brudim. So, Brudim is going to become Atzilus, and Ma is Chesed. Why? It's just a great light. Ma is saying, I am awesome. I'm just awesome. And Ban is saying, what's going on here? I died. My guys are gone. I'm just a spirit here, so to speak. So, Ban becomes the Nukva to Ma, and she becomes Gevura. Now get this is the Taich. Why is it Gevura? The 5 Gevuras and 5 Chasadim, and we have to do a Hamtaka to the Gevuras. My great powers of 5 Chasadim are able to be, they're just great. And the Gevura is that it's malleable. Atzilus is malleable. The light is malleable. So you're working with it, right? Right? The strength, it's not just like empty. It's mashu. So when you can construct light with mamshis, that's the hamtaka of the chasadim and the gevuras. That's when Ma and Ban are one. That's when you have mehitavel. It's when you have hadar. That's Mashiach effectively in Atzilus. So I thought that was a really nice touch. Back in the Zohar, this definition is good for you? And this is a very high in hidden place, says Zohar. I thought of this a couple days ago, that God is high. And you say, well, that's obvious. But no, God is literally high. We are low. I am with God, you are with God, and we are actually one, but I don't know anything about you, and you don't know anything about me. But we are told by the Torah that we should be brothers We should love each other and get along and bring the Shekhinah between us, right? But it's very hard. I'm not you and you're not me, and that's technically avodah zarah. We're saying that you exist outside of God. I mean, that's the ikar din, right? So we say, why is life so hard? If right now a tornado were to hit my house, I would say, why? Why, God? Why? Because I don't realize the tornado and me and you and all this is one. I'm saying, how could it be? So the higher you go, literally the higher, right? The more faint it becomes, where I lose sense of self. I'm like a fish in an aquarium, and so are you, and we're just kind of one schmear. If we keep going higher, and if you can imagine this, right? So high, where it becomes light, just one glossy light. And then beyond that, light doesn't shine anymore. That would be the original Tzimtzum. You can conceive of that, right? And it's so high, I don't even recognize God anymore. It's just... And then that, beyond that, would be the essence of God. Now, up at that level, you have no kesher to that. Is that right? Right now, we don't know what that is. So the Achdus on that level mirrors this level down here, but up there, it's not a problem. I mean, God is simply high. So high, it's Achdus. Or one simple thing. Because we lost our Gevurah. That high, just like a plane, right? When you're up in a plane, you look down. Is anybody fighting on Earth when NASA is in the atmosphere? Is anybody arguing on Earth? No. Not from their perspective. They just see the planet. When you see a plane, you see, oh, look, a little swimming pool. Right? No one's arguing. So too, we're arguing here in our existence. But on high, if we don't materialize, then we're not arguing. So therefore, up on high is the Achdus. Down here, we have to believe with Amunah and find with Betachon that same Achdus is here. It's just the light is so hidden and faint. In my world, I don't see the light. I only see myself. I have ego. Right? You have ego. The desk has ego on that level. The base of Mikdash has ego on that level. And that's the concealment of God. But it's the same thing. But you see that we have a Gevurah here that keeps us from that Achdus on a natural level, even though it does exist here. So it's very high. Therefore, he stepped into prayer to have revealed the secrets, these secrets, that it should be l'ratzon lefanai lifnei Hashem Yisborach. He wants to know effectively what is the meaning of life. Because if you ask what is the meaning of life, it will always take it to, if you think about it enough, you'll get it to one question every time. Okay, God, this is all you down here and you did it, but why did you create? Right? God is good, creation's good, we get there in Makshava, right? Makshava is the highest level we'll get to, we'll see. But then the question is, why did you create Bichlal? So since you're good, creation's good, and I'm good, you're good, but am I not better off not created? Do I really need the tsar? You say I get olam haba, but do I really need it in the end? Why'd you create me? So if I ask why'd you create me, then I'm really saying why'd you create Bichlal? Because if I say why'd you create me, same question is why did you create you? Because we're one. Right? So you're my plight and vice versa. So if we're one on that level, I just say, okay, so if we're all one, why'd you create anything? And that's what Rabbi Shimon wants to know. What was the Ratzon behind the Makshava? Makshava is not God saying, hey, let's think about creating today. The Makshava is what comes down in Shefa. And we know Shefa comes down, and we know thought comes down. I'm thinking, therefore I am, okay? But why? Why do you want me to think, God? Why do you want me to care and think? Why do you want this? Why do you want... You're fine up there. You have your light, your one, it's all good. Praises be upon you. And why do you want this schmutz down here? Why do you want ISIS chopping heads off? Why do you want me learning Zohar? Why do you want me thinking? Isn't it better if I don't think? And you just be on high saying how great you are as God? So that's the question. Why do you want to make a dwelling down low?